Many people have questions about what the Bible calls the coming of Jesus or parousia. Jesus' coming took place in AD 70, and the New Covenant was fully established after that. Matthew 16:28. I tell you the truth, there are some standing here who will not die before they see the Son of Man coming as King. If that is in the future, those disciples would have to be alive today, and that is impossible. In Matthew 24:3, the disciples ask, "Tell us, when will these things happen? What will be the sign of your coming and of the end of this age?" They are not asking about the end of the world. They are asking about the end of the temple, the end of the law system, and the end of the Jewish era. It was not the end of the world, it was the end of the religious system. In Matthew 24:34, Jesus says, "Truly I tell you, this generation will not pass away until all these things take place." And I've already explained here that a generation is approximately 30 to 40 years. Jesus said this around the year 30, and the temple was destroyed in AD 70. All of this within the same generation without delay. When Jesus said that no one knew the day or the hour, he wasn't saying it would be thousands of years later. He had just stated, "This generation will not pass away until all these things are fulfilled." They knew the time period. They just didn't know the exact day. The word coming, or rather parousia, does not mean Jesus physically descending from heaven. In the Old Testament, God came when he judged a nation. In Isaiah 19:1, he came upon Egypt, and in Micah 1:3, he came upon Samaria. But no one saw God physically. They only saw the judgment taking place. Coming is a manifestation of authority and judgment. The coming of Jesus was the judgment of the Old Covenant. The entire chapter of Matthew 23 is Jesus confronting the religious leaders. And in Matthew 23:36 he says, "All this will come upon this generation." The focus was not the world. The focus was Jerusalem and Israel as a religious system. Daniel 9:27 speaks of a covenant that would last 7 years. And halfway through those 7 years, the sacrifices cease and the abomination is set up in the highest place of the temple, as God decreed. Revelation 11:2 says that Jerusalem would be trampled underfoot for 42 months. 42 months equals 3.5 years, half of the 7 years, exactly as Daniel described. In Matthew 24:15, Jesus says, "You will see in the holy place the great abomination spoken of by the prophet Daniel. Whoever is in Judea, flee to the mountains. If it were the end of the world, why should only Judea flee? Because, in fact, it was a local judgment." Matthew 24:14 says that the gospel would be preached to all nations and then the end would come. But in Colossians 1:23, Paul says, "The gospel has been preached to every creature under heaven." Mission accomplished before the year 70. And in the year 70, the temple fell. In Matthew 24:2, Jesus spoke about the temple. "Do you see all these things? I tell you the truth, not one stone here will be left on another. Everyone will be thrown down." First-century historians describe Jerusalem under siege by Rome, extreme famine, the temple set ablaze, sacrifices halted, and Christians fleeing the city, exactly as Jesus foretold. If the Old Covenant was the foundation of the temple, the priesthood and sacrifice, with the fall of the temple, the Old Covenant loses its validity. Thus, in preterist interpretation, we understand that the destruction of Jerusalem and the fall of the temple marked Jesus' return to judge the Old Covenant, to judge the people who rejected Jesus and his kingdom, and the consummation and beginning of the New Covenant. Revelation 1:7 says, "Behold, he is coming with the clouds, and every eye will see him, even those who pierced him." Coming in the clouds in the Bible does not mean coming physically. It means coming in judgment against a nation, and even those who pierced him. That is, even those who participated in Christ's death were alive when Jerusalem fell, and they saw what happened. Revelation 1:11 speaks of the letters that were sent to the 7 churches of Asia Minor. And today they are all ruins, and none exists as an actual church. They were real people, real churches in a real generation. If Revelation were meant for us, these letters would make no sense. Hebrews 10:37, "For yet a little while, and he who is coming will come and will not delay." James 5:8, "The coming of the Lord is near." 1 Peter 4:7, "The end of all things is near." These texts were written 2,000 years ago saying, "It is near." If these things have not yet happened, then the Bible has failed in its timing. It is no use saying that for God, 1,000 years is like a day, because when Peter says that for God a day is like 1,000 years, he is not nullifying the time frame that Jesus gave. He is only saying that God is not bound by our clock. It is not that God is contradicting what he himself,